pleased with the way you played? The results you're pleased with the way you played?
Yeah, it's one of those games. Look, if you had said to me at the start of the day we win by 80 points, you'd be absolutely pumped. But I think sometimes the challenge of winning games that you should win and taking care of business sometimes can be challenging. There were periods of our game that were really strong, and then there was others where we got challenged. I thought, once again, you've got some work cut out for us in a couple of areas. But look, overall, once again, the 80% was pretty solid. I thought we exerted some influence and some dominance on the game in certain periods and scored heavily. And, credit where credit's due. They didn't throw in the towel. They kept coming. The Tigers, they're on a journey, obviously, and I've been there before, and I know what that is like at various stages, and they're a club that will continue to improve.
What was sort of the biggest difference you found from the side from the first half compared to the second half? So that first half, it looked like you weren't sort of making most of your opportunities, but then that second half.
Yeah, look, I think the thing is we had some good looks across the arc, but we're probably too quick to move the ball in. What they're very good at, and they've got one of the best in the competition, the All-Australian, or who should be an All-Australian, is Nick Loston, sort of thing that is very, very smart and understanding how to read that ball. But we probably went a little bit too quick at various stages and moved the ball through him. He's a wonderful player, and we sort of spoke about it during the week, but sometimes in the cut and thrust of play, you can move the ball a little bit too quickly. And they're very good. It's sort of the Melbourne style of getting, the first guys back to the contest, and we just got outnumbered there early. But I thought the first quarter were okay. Second quarter we were disappointing. Third and fourth we got our game together, which was a positive.
Second week now we've seen the mix up forward with Jai Farah.
Yeah.
No Jed Walter, but Ethan Reid, and it seems it's a different look, but Jai's impact again today as well as last week.
Yeah, it's been incredible. And look, people will look at the scoreboards, but we look at the bone-crunching tackles that he laid. That was really evident today, and his pressure points were through the roof, and he's got speed and capable of, winning the ball both in air and ground. And look, it's something we wanted to have a look at, and we're really pleased with how it's worked out thus far. Jeb was pretty good in the VFL, as was Caleb Lewis at VFL level today. So those blokes certainly won't be forgotten. We've just got to figure out what the best mix is going forward, and that can change week to week. But I was pleased with. I thought Kingy's game was outstanding. Finally got some scoreboard reward. His combativeness in the air was great. And Ethan, I thought took another massive step forward today. We've invested in these young blokes, and they're going to be really, really good players. But it was great to see him take a step forward again today.
You say it's like it can change week to week. Is this a look you'll use for a little while yet? You want to have a bit of a longer runway looking at it, I guess?
Oh, I think so. And I think when, it's evident where, firstly that they're providing great defensive intent inside 50, ground ball presence, and, the outcome is the goals that we look at, but it's those other intangibles that we're sort of measuring more so than the goals. They'll certainly come, but we've been really pleased with how it's looked thus far, so it'll probably continue for the short term.
I know all the chat, externally, is the year the Suns are going to make finals or whatever, but you'll be in the top 6 at the end of this round. Are you looking further up the ladder now, or how's it?
Oh, look, you'll always drift there, I reckon. But the thing is, and we keep saying to the players, it's keep where your feet are. Just stay on that next shift mentality. That's the only thing that we can control at the moment. We've just got to keep winning games, and we'll finish off this season, and then another season will start, and hopefully we're a part of that. But where we are destined to play, we're not too sure. All we can do is just keep putting our best foot forward, keep showing up week after week. There's some things in our game that we did well today. There's certainly some areas that we can improve, but our mindset is firmly on Carlton next week.
So Touk came back today, took him off. How's his hammy?
Yeah, it was good. Look, it was sort of an ideal situation where we probably thought the game was in hand, and the talk was ideally if it is in that situation, he comes off and played one rotation into the last, and we got what we were after. So that was a positive for us.
Okay.
Yeah, disappointingly, he's had a setback with a hamstring. We're not too sure the severity of it, but I must admit my little heart broke, to be honest, when I saw him walking off, because a lot of people won't know this kid, but this kid's going to be quite a special player for us for a long period of time. And touch wood, it's not too bad, because he's important to not only the fabric of our footy club, but our identity pieces aside as well. So he'll be missed for the short term once again, but he's gone through this situation. He's very, very good and very diligent, and he's rehab, and we just hope he gets back very quickly.
Do you get a chance to enjoy the relationship between Matt Rowell and Noah Anderson out there on the field?
Yeah. They're pretty special, aren't they? I think one of the commentators call them Batman and Robin the other week. You know, they complement each other very well. And what I've been pleased with is, you know, those players are both incredibly talented, but they've improved their game, you know, and that's the measure of greatness. I think, you know, every year they come in and they try and implement something, and, you know, both Noah and Matt work incredibly hard with Sean Grigg, their line coach, and do a power of work, and there's a reason they're some of the best players in the competition. And, you know, we've always sort of admired them from afar, but when you get to work and see what they do, there's a reason they're great players. Not only great players, great leaders. The leadership these two have actually always had within them, but under the tutelage of, you know, David Swallow, Jared Witts, Sam Collins and Tuke Miller, all of a sudden those guys have stepped back, these guys have stepped up and filled the void. You know, we're very, very lucky to have some outstanding leaders in our footy club.
Last week you spoke about Jared Whitson, All-Australian candidacy. What about Ben Long?
Yeah, he's back long, isn't he, which is great. Yeah, he had a little bit of a quiet patch. It's funny, I was speaking to Alistair Lynch before the game, and I was sort of trying to figure out who goes into bat for the Queensland lads. I don't think we have anyone on the All-Australian thing, and that's an indictment, I think, on the competition. We've got some outstanding players as of Brisbane, and we need someone pushing the envelope. Certainly other clubs have got enough players, so I think it's about time we actually, you know, had someone on there, whether it's, you know, Simon Black, Lynchy, Jonathan Brown, I'm not too sure, but we need someone pushing up these lads because they're pretty good. I keep hearing a lot about a lot of other players. I'm not picking any of those guys before our guys.
Thank you.
Good job, guys. Bolters, let's go.
Except Nick Watt lost the match.